Theory of Computation. Hello everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating and foundational areas of both computer science and mathematics, the theory of computation. Think of this as the philosophy of computer science. We aren't just learning how to code. We are here to understand the limits of algorithms. By the end of this session, you'll have a better grasp of what computers can actually do, and, perhaps more importantly, what they fundamentally cannot do. What is theory of computation? So what exactly is the theory of computation? At its heart, it asks two very big, very simple questions. What can be computed, and how efficiently? It uses abstract models and mathematical logic to define the boundaries of what is possible. It's essentially the study of problem solving itself, helping us categorize which problems are easy for a computer, which are hard, and which are simply unsolvable. A brief history. To understand where we are, we have to look back at how we got here. The foundations of computation weren't built by programmers, but by brilliant mathematicians trying to solve the deepest puzzles of logic. Let's walk through the key milestones that paved the way for the digital world we live in today. Timeline. Early foundations. Our story begins in 1931 with Gödel, who showed that some truths are essentially unprovable within formal systems. Then, in 1936, we see a massive leap. Alan Turing defined the Turing Machine, a universal model to solve logic puzzles, while Alonzo Church created Lambda Calculus. Both prove the same thing. Computation has fixed rules. Finally, in 1951, Stephen Kleene gave us regular expressions and finite automata, giving us a way to describe simple machines that recognize patterns. Timeline. Modern developments. As we move into the modern era, the field expanded into linguistics and efficiency. In 1956, Noam Chomsky linked how we structure language to the machines that process them. By 1965, complexity theory was born, as Hartmanus and Stearns began measuring how much time a computer needs to solve a problem. This led to the famous P versus nitrogen monophosphide question, introduced by Stephen Cook in 1971, and Richard Karp followed up in 1972 by showing that many of our most important real-world problems are deeply interconnected through their complexity. The three core branches. To make this vast field easier to navigate, we divide the theory of computation into three core branches. Automata Theory, which asks, what is a machine? Computability Theory, which asks, what can be computed? Complexity Theory, which asks, what can be computed efficiently? Let's explore each of these in a bit more detail. Branch 1. Automata Theory. First up is Automata Theory. This is the study of abstract machines and formal languages. It's not about physical hardware like your laptop. It's about the mathematical blueprints of how a machine processes information step by step. Key concept: finite automata. The most basic type of machine in this branch is finite automata. Think of this as the simplest model of computation. These machines have a finite number of states and absolutely no memory. They just react to input symbols to move from one state to another. While simple, they are incredibly powerful for recognizing patterns, and are used every day in things like text editors, network protocols, and the compilers that turn your code into software. Branch 2. Computability Theory. Next we move to Computability Theory. This is where we explore the boundaries of solvable problems. Here, we aren't worried about how long a task takes. We just want to know if it's even possible to get an answer, classifying problems as decidable or undecidable. Key concept: the Turing Machine. The superstar of this branch is the Turing Machine. It is a simple mathematical model, just an infinite tape, a read/write head, and a set of rules. But it is powerful enough to simulate any computer algorithm ever written. It is the theoretical basis for all modern computers, and defines the ultimate limit of what we consider computable. Key concept: the halting problem. One of the most mind-bending discoveries in this field is the halting problem. In 1936, Alan Turing asked, can we write a program that determines if any other program will eventually stop or run forever? He proved the answer is no. This program cannot exist. This is a huge deal, because it proves there are fundamental limits to computers. No matter how fast or powerful they get, some things will always be, quote, undecidable. Branch 3. Complexity Theory. Finally, we have Complexity Theory. This branch is all about the cost of computation, specifically time and space. We know some problems are solvable, but are they practical to solve? Complexity theory helps us distinguish between problems that take seconds and those that would take billions of years to finish. Key concept: P versus NP. The biggest mystery here is P versus NP. P stands for problems that are easy to solve efficiently, like sorting a list. NP refers to problems that are easy to verify once you have a potential answer, like a Sudoku puzzle. The million-dollar question is P equal to NP? Can every problem that is easy to check also be solved easily? Most scientists think the answer is no, but proving it remains one of the greatest challenges in mathematics. Concluding thought. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought from the father of computation himself, Alan Turing. He once said, "Those who can imagine anything can create the impossible." The theory of computation shows us exactly where those impossible lines are drawn, so we can focus our creativity on everything else. To summarize, the theory of computation defines what can be efficiently computed through three branches: automata, computability, and complexity. It explores abstract machines, the limits of solvability with Turing machines, and the efficiency of solutions like P versus nitrogen monophosphide. Questions? And that brings us to the end. Does anyone have any questions about the branches of computation, the history, or perhaps the limits of what computers can do? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, share, and like that video.